For handicap, looking to stop this over the top downswing without changing the backswing path too much. That's an interesting challenge, but I think we can do that with the swing videos you provided at a nice high quality and frame rate as well. So we'll include a tour comparison toward the end, requested pro, and a nice comparison with the swing type as well. But looking at your stance and posture, generally you're hanging a bit low from the bend at the waist, which is going to take your shaft plane and flatten it out a bit, making it again rather difficult to get that club as low on path as you would need to. So begin by letting that club sit a bit more flush on the ground with the toe down. That's going to get that club a bit more upright, forcing your hands up and hopefully getting your spine up as well. You'll see that the Tour comp will do something very similar to that when he is set up. But let's use what we've got with the path line through the shaft of the club and watching the takeaway. I can see why you don't want to change that too much. Club is riding nicely along the path with the body moving. Right arm's folding slightly, but that face angle has been retained pretty square to even slightly closed at P2. Shoulder tilt is not doing much, which is going to keep your arms working flat and around your body, which does stop at a fairly short position because you can't wait to turn your body down and loop it over the top. So the Y is rotation happening before lateral clearance, but a good visual is a teeter-totter across your shoulders at the top. So marking this old playground type of system, and when you rotate as your first move through the transition, you can see how this right side or your right shoulder will want to work up and over. That does take your club, your hands, and that shaft over the top of the path, then swinging across the ball or out to in. It also takes that left shoulder and will tend to want to work it in the opposite direction more down, which can collapse the body and lead to some contact issues. But let's clean up one more time and pause you at the top one last time. Let's redraw our fun playground item and then see what would happen if we instead push the lower body forward. That should have an opposite effect of dropping the hands or dropping the path more down, bringing the left shoulder up and then allowing the body to maintain its angle more consistently. Now, if that doesn't make much sense, hopefully when we get our Tour comparison, we can do that again with his shoulder view and his shoulder tilt, but let's breeze on and continue to the face-on view for a quick piece here. So, setup and grip. Not looking too bad, both feet flared out, a little bit narrow, and club shaft leaning slightly forward. All things look okay, grip looks fine, very strong position. Let's mark the lead hip and center of your head here as well to watch for sways. Initially there's a little bit of sway rocking you off the ball, not a whole lot of turn in the hips and shoulders, and that is lacking because that left shoulder, if we watch it here, is going to work more across than down. More shoulder tilting down will help you rotate without sway and will stop you from rocking off the ball so much. It may appear that you're trying to sit or get your weight shifted to the front side, but it's a very limited amount of lateral movement before that hip starts disappearing with your turn. So you need to get much more forward and down on this, and a great way to do that is to maintain your tilts and get your right shoulder to tilt more down in that backswing, because everything works up and over through that transition with a lot of rotation and not enough shift. So backing up one more time, because the best view is this down the line view, and we'll get our Tour comp Paul Casey here on the other side, where we want to note the setup changes. He's got a lot of right knee flex kicking in, and that could just be trying to work the ball one way or another. But the club, not exactly the truest comparison of a fairway metal versus your iron, but looking more instead at the posture angle being more upright and the shaft plane being more upright even for a longer club. So try to adjust to get into a similar looking position here, but the real change is going to happen through the transition, where marking a pretty good move in the backswing is going to trace through a lot of positions that you do, so we'll get you moving up in a similar spot. Camera angle might be slightly off, but while Paul Casey's at about his P3 working up further to the top, the club's going to work a little bit longer than you do, but your hips and body are generally in the same position, with the exception of that tilt angle being more down. But the secret sauce and what's making this swing stay more inside the path is that as the club is setting up at the top with a lot of wrist hinge, he is already shifting to the front side. It's subtle, but watching the left heel plant down right as that club's passing the transition means the weight's already gone from the right foot to the left foot. He's gotten himself in front of the ball. Now he is green light to start turning and working everything down. That same movement of that lateral bump or shift forward is taking his teeter-totter and bringing that right side down, left side more up on the way through, which does bring that path inside. So you can get a lot of similarities going with your lower body, but you do have to work your upper body and tilts a lot differently. Look at the legs and generally lower body between both impact positions, cleared and open, weight toward the toes, barely on the right foot, but a lot more difference in the right side with the upper body tilting more down versus you being more open. So the amount of turn, probably 20-30 degrees open at impact, where his hips are 40-50 open, shoulders are only a couple degrees open at impact, if not more square. So a little rambling on there toward the end, sorry about that, but I hope you can take away a couple things, mostly from your setup and mostly what you're doing through your transitioning. Getting more forward to bump and drop that right shoulder more down. Good luck. Sendaswing.com.